Islamic financial literacy is critical to improving the adoption of non-interest finance in any economy in the globe. Nigeria, which is described as the prospective frontier for Islamic finance in Africa, still facing the huge challenge of financial literacy at the broader level and even increased awareness on the benefits of non-interest finance products. In discussing financial literacy, the issue of trust, confidence, and active participation in the formal financial systems comes to the fore. It takes an increased level of financial education to make wise investment choices and also understand the opportunities that segments like Islamic finance provide for investors who are given to Sharia-compliant principles. The big question is, what is the current financial literacy levels of Nigerians today? How many of them are aware of the benefits of Islamic finance as an alternative form of financing? Welcome to the Islamic Finance Weekly, where we discuss the key developments in the non-interest finance market. In this edition of the program, we'll be looking at Islamic financial literacy education in Nigeria. Our guest for this episode is the Chief Executive Officer of Marble Capital Limited and also a member of the SEC Nigeria Financial Literacy Committee, Mr. Akeem Oyewale. Good afternoon, Mr. Akeem, and thank you for taking your time to speak with us on this relevant topic.
Good afternoon, Ms. Nicola. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mr. Akeem, for the benefit of our audience, I will start by asking you, what is financial literacy and how important is it to the economic development in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Ms. Nicola, for that question. And like I said, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here this afternoon. Financial literacy is all-encompassing. I mean, it's something that has to do with knowledge of finance and how the public is able to appreciate how to utilize financial skills to achieve their objectives. So financial literacy covers things like different aspects of finance, whether it's the deposit side, whether it's the lending side, whether it's the securities that people can actually invest in, So financial literacy is very, very broad. It answers the basic question of what do you do with your money? Or like a friend of mine says, what's the color of your money? So whenever anybody talks about finance, financial literacy is critical because people need to know what they can do with their day-to-day earnings, how they can invest their money, and how it's going to be beneficial to them and ultimately to the economy at large.
With the definition of financial literacy and its importance to the economic development, can you speak to Islamic financial literacy, which is currently at a low level despite the immense opportunities?
Thank you as well. Yeah, so Islamic financial literacy is not yet where it should be. In Nigeria, Islamic finance is known as non-interest finance at the moment, and as we are aware, the central bank issued guidelines. So we have some standalone non-interest financial institutions like Taj Bank, like Jais Bank, and a few windows like Sterling Bank, SunTrust Bank as well. And we also have Islamic capital markets like Marble Capital, Lotus Capital, 117 Capital, But the main thing about the essence of financial literacy from the Islamic finance world is for people to understand that there is an alternative for them. They need to be aware that there is something called Islamic finance. And what it does is that it gives them an opportunity to manage their financial needs, get access to financial resources, and also achieve their financial goals, all in line with their beliefs, all in line with the ethical beliefs and the directives of the Sharia, which is the guiding principle for Muslims globally. And what that does is that it gives a lot of people that comfort, that whatever you're investing in aligns with what you believe in. So people are not afraid. They are spiritually aligned. Their investments are spiritually aligned with the physical way they are managing their investments. And Islamic finance as well helps governments and authorities to raise money to provide social, finance and social structures, to the populace. We've seen so much of this in Nigeria over the last 5 years, with the federal government of Nigeria actually raising sukuk. Sukuks happen to be the most visible Islamic finance product globally, I would say. And the Nigerian government has tapped into the sukuk market on a sovereign level 3 times. Each time it's been fully subscribed, oversubscribed, and we've been able to prove that it's not for Muslims alone. It's for anybody that believes in an investment that is going to add value, not only to you as by the returns you're going to get, but also to the community where you live.
You made a valid point, Mr. Akeem, as you have said, the essence of financial literacy from Islamic finance perspective is for people to be informed that there is an alternative for them in order to be able to manage their financial needs and achieve their financial goals. You are a member of the SEC Financial Literacy Committee. Let me put this question straight to you. How can the Securities and Exchange Commission Financial Literacy Committee increase awareness on the non-interest finance market?
A lot of ways, and I must commend the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, for setting up the Financial Literacy Technical Committee under the very able leadership of Mrs. Toyin Sani, who is a very, very known person in the capital markets in Nigeria. I mean, she has used her energy to actually encourage the FLTC to come up with different strategies of enhancing financial literacy broadly, and even specifically to also support Islamic financial literacy, which is a subset of the whole financial literacy technical committee mandate. In specific terms, efforts have been made, by the FLTC to actually ensure the inculcation or the introduction of capital markets into the curriculum of our secondary schools. A lot of funds have been raised by the Capital Market Authority through the CMC, and engagements have been held with the agency responsible for adjusting or approving curriculum activities for Nigerian schools, and we're at the very last stages of ensuring that the curriculum for our students all across Nigeria will have elements of financial literacy, and this will also include Islamic finance as well. So that is catching them young. On a different level as well, there have been several initiatives by the FLTC and other players in the financial market to actually enhance financial literacy by joining hands. Like last year during the World Education Week, we actually had a number of initiatives by all the exchanges, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the FMDQ, the AFEX, the NESD, ringing the bells in their respective exchanges, bringing students or giving them documents that will enhance their knowledge of financial literacy. The Nigerian Stock Exchange created a comic book, a very, very popular comic book that detailed in simple terms, what financial literacy should be, available free on their website, and they also shared it across many agencies. So the FLTC has been doing that. We also organized debates, and quiz competitions at the secondary schools and universities across Nigeria, to make students compete amongst themselves as to their knowledge of financial literacy. And before then as well, there have been efforts by the Nigerian Securities and Exchange Commission to actually carry out development of financial literacy, even in the market square. So they've had jingles. They've had jingles by our leading Nollywood actors and actresses. They've had market storms where people were advised on how to make investments, even with the little amount you get every day from your businesses in the market. So efforts have been made to enhance financial literacy awareness, both from the university, secondary schools, and also to the artisans and market men and women.
You see, this is a welcome development, and I appreciate the SEC committee, the regulators, and other stakeholders for working together in order to deepen the knowledge of financial literacy in Nigeria. And I believe these developments will also inculcate Islamic finance education in the country. Let's talk about Nigeria's perspective on Islamic finance. You see, a lot of people still believe the non-interest finance is only for Muslims. Mr. Akeem, what are the effective ways of communicating the value of Islamic finance to the retail investors and Nigerians in accordance with Sharia principles?
Thank you very much again, Ms. Paula. Yes, like I mentioned earlier, Islamic finance is not for Muslims alone. It's for everybody. It's just a means of finance that ensures that whoever is engaging in the financial transaction knows that, I'm not here I'm not going to take interest. I'm not going to take riba. I'm going to ensure that transactions are based on profit sharing ratios. And we also will ensure when we are financing transactions, there must be an asset backing such a transaction. So you just don't allow money to make money on money just like that. There must be an asset backing all transactions in Islamic finance. And what we are doing is awareness. We have what we call the NIFIAN, the Non-Interest Finance Association institutions in Nigeria, which is an amalgam of all the financial institutions that are in the NFII space. That includes all the banks, Jaiz Bank, Taj Bank, Sterling Bank, SunTrust Bank, all the Islamic capital market operatives in Nigeria. Marble Capital, Lotus Capital, 117 Burak, and also the Takaful operators. What this does is that you have a big community that is spreading the same message across the whole country, as to the value of Islamic finance. And like I said at the beginning, one of the best poster childs we've had has been the success of the sukuks that have been done by both the federal government of Nigeria, 3 times oversubscribed, and also the subnational sukuk that was done by Osun State 7 years ago in 2013. The fund raised by Osun State was fully utilized and fully repaid as well last year to all investors. So that gives investors confidence that, hey, if I invest in a sukuk, one, whatever is stated in the prospectus will be achieved, because that is what the ACE is all about. They have to ensure that the investments that are promised are actually delivered. Then 2, the security of the investments by the investors is also there. And finally, you also have decent rentals, you have decent returns on your investments. So when people realize this, they are either motivated by the returns they're going to get from the investments or by the social desire to ensure that the objectives of these investments are met. In the case of the federal government sukuks, they've been building multiple roads, in Nigeria. And when they build the roads, you will see a sign built by Sukuk 2, and you are happy with the quality of the road. If you go to Osun State, you will see all the 23 schools built by the funds from the Sukuk that was raised in 2013. So you actually ensure, the Sukuk and Islamic finance ensure that the investment you make is used for what it is promised to be used for. So the risk of diversion of resources is actually very, very limited or non-existent from a Sukuk project or program.
That was insightful, Mr. Akeem. Now let's look at the major challenges facing financial system in Nigeria. You see, when talking about the Ponzi schemes and scams, Nigerians have been victims due to poor financial awareness and education. How is your committee addressing this issue?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so there is still, like in any economy, you have people that are looking to play the fast one. They believe they are smarter than everybody, and they introduce scams, Ponzi schemes, and they try to make people fall for these schemes. So the Financial Literacy Technical Committee has been working hard to let people know that if something looks too true to be real, it's probably not real. That is number one. Number two, we've been advising our investors and players in the market that please, for anybody to come and show you that they are giving you an investment instrument, check out that person on the SEC website. Is this entity registered by the SEC? If they are not registered by the SEC, it's most likely what they are selling to you is a scam. And the Funds Management Association of Nigeria, FMAN, actually did a very, very robust webinar in the last quarter of last year, where they got facilitators, competent players in the industry like Oyewale Dixon, that actually explained to the markets the need for you to be circumspect whenever any investment is promising you double returns, we're going to triple your money in 3 days, in 4 days, and you have all these messages on your phones from scammers. So the key thing is, one, no bank will ask you for your PINs, for your ID, for your numbers on the phone. So please don't fall for that. Number two, any investment instrument that is not approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission, you should not fall for it as well. So it's consistent awareness through all the social media networks, the traditional media networks, webinars, and information at forums like we had last year, to actually let people be aware that investments not approved by SEC may be a scam. Just only deal with folks and CMOs that have been registered and approved by the regulators. That also gives you a fallback in case there are issues, maybe there are disagreements down the line. You always have an arbiter. You have the regulator that can help you settle issues. But where such an entity is not regulated, then you are most likely going to be falling into scams. So we tell our clients not to please invest in anything that is not being brought to you by a regulated entity.
How should the government, the National University Commission, Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, and Islamic finance institutions work together to deepen Islamic financial literacy in Nigeria, particularly connecting with the young generation who are digital savvy?
Thank you so much for that. So the NUC, the NUC, which regulates all the universities in Nigeria, the NERDC, as I mentioned earlier, they are also working very closely in adopting the curriculum and changing it to ensure that there's capital markets infused into it, for our younger ones. Then you have the Islamic organizations like the Islamic Finance Institute of Nigeria, all working together to ensure that we are able to send across through the NUC, especially on the FLTC platform, a communication or series of communication that could be shared across all university websites, where we'll be teaching our students while they are still in university how to identify proper investment instruments, financial literacy, where to go to ask questions, how they can invest their tokens or their money on a regular basis. So this is what FLTC is doing as part of its programs for 2021, to actually ensure that once this COVID is over, or even while it's still ongoing, if you're able to have that meetings, with all the necessary parties, we're going to have all the programs that we've outlined and all the resources that we have. We will make it available to the NUC for them to ensure that all universities in Nigeria, they have access to it, and they're able to make their students have access to it as well. But NERDC has been really, really working hard with us, to amend the curriculum, and we believe that will be done in a few months' time.
All right, Mr. Akeem, in what ways can financial planning, savings, and orientation on financial products be integrated into the capital market studies curriculum for students?
There are many stages, for quality control purposes, that have to be complied with. There are many workshops that needed to be done. One of the last series of the workshop was actually held last year in December, which was coordinated by the NERDC and other members of SEC as well. So we believe with that done, all that will be needed will just be the approvals that are required to ensure that the new curriculums that have been recommended are approved and disseminated across board. We expect that to be done, hopefully, H1 this year. That's the first half of 2021.
I read your profile and I see that you had a meteoric rise in Nigeria's financial services industry. You became a chartered accountant at the age of 20 and bank subsidiary CEO at the age of 27. Mr. Akeem, how do you see the future of Islamic financial literacy education in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I actually see the future of Islamic financial literacy as very bright. Like you rightly mentioned at the beginning, Islamic finance is a virgin area as far as Nigeria is concerned. I mean, we've only started growing in the last 10 years or thereabouts, and given the vast population of Nigeria, as people get to know and get to be aware more and more of the values, and the benefits of Islamic finance, either in terms of raising money or in terms of investing your money, especially with the added value of investing in a way that aligns with your convictions. We see that market as huge, and we see more people actually trooping into it and participating. I mean, yes, there will be one or two challenges that we need to overcome. The first one is awareness. Continuous awareness is critical. People need to be aware of where to go to get this access. They need to know that whatever transaction they want to execute, there is always that Islamic finance component that can be brought into it. Just meet the right experts and they will guide you. So we actually see this as growing very well, not even only in Nigeria, but across West Africa and ultimately across the continent. We have experiences of countries in the world, even the UK, in the US, where they are not majority Muslim countries, but they have raised Islamic finance products to books, and they've been very successful. And we also saw during the financial crisis globally, that most entities that operate Islamic finance, they were really affected whenever you have a financial crisis. This is because most of the transactions are backed by real assets. So as people get to be aware of the values and the benefits of Islamic finance, we see this actually growing and complementing the additional financial options that investors have.
My takeaway from this conversation is that financial literacy and Islamic finance education will help to solve financial exclusion and enable financial inclusion in the country. Thank you very much, Mr. Akeem, for this robust conversation.
Thank you so much.
Definitely, there is need to broaden the scope of Islamic finance literacy across Nigeria and sub-Saharan, bring more investors into this viable segment of the market. This will require the support of the Ministries of Education and Finance, Budget and National Planning, service providers, non-governmental organizations, and Sharia-based donor agencies, so that students and all classes of investors understand the value and opportunities of investing in Islamic finance. And we also say it is expected that the SEC Financial Literacy Committee will give top priority to Islamic finance education and awareness. And that will be all for this edition of the Islamic Finance Weekly. Log on to www.proshareng.com for more information on Islamic finance. Follow us on our social media platform displaying on the screen. Kindly comment below and let's hear your thoughts and also for your inquiries. Many thanks for watching, and join us next week for another exclusive interview.